The station working for you. This is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
The state gives a rough timeline of when we can expect a COVID-19 vaccine to arrive in Indiana and what top health leaders say needs to happen for that vaccine to be effective in ending the pandemic.
He didn't have to die. Sorry. He didn't have to die.
The coronavirus has ravaged nursing homes in Indiana, leaving many families to grieve the loss of loved ones who were once residents of those facilities. The message you need to hear.
The pandemic has hurt the bottom line of most businesses, but especially small local stores. You can help them start to rebound while checking items off of your Christmas list. Thanks for watching the news at 6 on WRTV. I'm Amanda Starantino.
And I'm Mark Mullins. Right now, we're tracking storms in central Indiana. As you see here, you can see them on our radar. And we now have a severe thunderstorm warning for a part of the area. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Kevin.
And I'll define the area for you. Northern Bartholomew and southern Shelby County. Strongest storm northeast of Columbus. And we'll zero in on that now. Okay, the line has been pinwheeling to the north and east. Non-severe downpours Peru to Muncie down to around Newcastle. It's the southern edge of this where the storms have been stronger, and you can see the outline. The back edge of this now about ready to drop off. I'd say the strongest portion of the storm near Hope, Indiana, and then southeast portions of Shelby County, and that will cross over I-74 between Shelbyville and Greensburg. Closer view, we've been watching what we call the velocity, the movement of air within the storm. The reds show what's moving away from the radar, the green toward the radar. Where these mix it up is where we get some rotation within the storm. Makes it a little more likely that we could see some damaging wind with that or an isolated tornado. We'll keep our eye on that. There's your general rainfall. It's moderate to heavy, but it doesn't last all that long. And we've got one more little band that will push through as the whole storm system moves to the north and east. There's your marginal or low risk for severe storms. What's ahead for Thanksgiving and the weekend? That's all straight ahead.
Thank you, Kevin. Everyone is tired of living in a COVID-19 world, and a pair of vaccines seem poised to eventually get approval for use, bringing renewed hope that we can put an end to the pandemic. At Governor Eric Holcomb's weekly COVID-19 press conference, Indiana State Health Commissioner Dr. Christina Box explained the timeline for a vaccine to be available in Indiana.
Pfizer has applied for the emergency use authorization from the FDA, and a meeting is scheduled in early December to determine whether to issue that authorization. Once that approval is issued, states have been told to be prepared to receive vaccine in as little as 48 hours. Moderna is also expected to seek its emergency use authorization soon. We are communicating this expected timing to our hospitals and frontline healthcare workers so that they will be prepared and we can prepare their staff to receive the vaccine when it arrives. For this vaccine to be effective, people will need to ensure that they get both doses in the recommended time frame of 21 or 28 days.
We've obtained Indiana's COVID-19 vaccine plan submitted to the CDC. It calls for healthcare workers and those who are at the greatest risk of death from the virus to be vaccinated first. Dr. Anthony Fauci says a vaccine may not be available to the general population until April, May, or June.
COVID-19 has had a devastating impact on people who live and work in nursing homes. More than half of the state's deaths have come from long-term care facilities, and some are concerned about the impact this winter will have. From our WRTV News special, Inside the COVID Crisis, our Cara Kenny found some families who lost loved ones as they're left wishing more could have been done to protect them from the virus.
More than 2,500 nursing home residents across the state of Indiana have died from COVID-19, including 18 here at Ben-Hur. These are the numbers from the state's database, but each one represents a loved one that a family member will no longer talk to.
This is the last thing that I make for my mom. I wanted her to have something beautiful and special for her at her funeral.
Mary Johnson has a little piece of her mom at home. Martha Mccola died May 16th at the age of 77 after developing COVID-19 at Ben-Hur, a nursing home and rehab facility in Crawfordsville. How much do you miss your mom?
Very much. It's rough. I promised my dad I'd take care of her before he passed away, and he just passed away in 2019. And then they closed us down, and I couldn't get in.
Nursing homes were closed to visitors during the early months of the pandemic. Mary was able to say goodbye to her mom in person at the hospital 2 days before she died.
It's a memory I have forever. She took her hand and she grabbed mine and she pulled it down to here and took her other hand and wrapped it around me. She knew I was there, and it's the first time since from March.
Janice Ford didn't get that chance. She had to say goodbye to her brother Charles England over the phone as he lay dying at the hospital from COVID-19.
He told me he loved me, but it was almost, so light that I couldn't hardly hear him. He was so weak by that point.
Charles England also got COVID-19 at Ben-Hur and died May 22nd.
It's hard to know that he didn't have to die. Sorry. He didn't have to die.
Janice and Mary feel the nursing home didn't have adequate infection control procedures in place at the time. The Indiana Healthcare Association, which represents many Indiana nursing homes, says in the spring, facilities were not well equipped with N95 masks and other supplies.
I think what we're going to see is a lot of the tragic loss of life that occurred early on in the pandemic. And that was when the country was caught somewhat flat-footed, and prioritization of PPE and testing just wasn't with long-term care at that point.
It wasn't until July that the state started testing all nursing home workers for COVID-19. In August, the federal government sent antigen testing machines to Indiana nursing homes, allowing them to do frequent testing of residents and workers. And it wasn't until November the state sent in the National Guard to help nursing homes plagued with understaffing. Transparency was a problem, too. For months at the start of the pandemic, WRTV Investigates requested data showing where people were dying in nursing homes, but the state told us no.
We don't have a cumulative list of every facility, all of their cases, and all of their deaths.
It wasn't until July they changed their mind.
We are going to report facility-specific COVID-19 data.
AARP Indiana was one of the groups that pushed hard for the state to release nursing home COVID-19 data broken down by facility. Information scarce at the start of the pandemic is now readily available on the state's website.
Definitely encouraged that we got there eventually. That definitely empowers folks to be able to look at the data themselves and help them make decisions.
AARP Indiana State Director Sarah Waddle is concerned about the impact winter will have on nursing homes.
There hasn't really been a comprehensive plan from the state to address virtual visitation, which is going to be absolutely needed over these cold months.
Plus, the National Guard is expected to leave nursing homes on December 31st.
What happens when we don't have the National Guard in the facilities anymore, or the extra bodies?
WRTV Investigates requested on-camera interviews with Governor Eric Holcomb and the State Health Commissioner Chris Box to talk about long-term care, but no one responded to our request. American Senior Communities, which operates Ben-Hur, tells us they are testing 100% of residents in any facilities where there is reason to suspect a resident or staff member may be COVID-19 positive. ASC is also testing 100% of residents in facilities located in high-risk regions, even those with no known COVID-19 contact. All staff members are tested weekly at a minimum, with staff at some facilities tested twice weekly. As nursing home deaths continue to rise, a reflection of increased community spread, Janice Ford and Mary Johnson want you to know that each death is important.
These people are somebody's family, and people do love them. And they had families that they loved, and I don't know, how could you just throw away somebody?
Mary struggles with her own health issues and guilt over not being able to care for her mom.
It's the last thing I'll ever be able to make for her, but it's beautiful like she was.
Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
American Senior Communities started releasing COVID-19 data before the state required it. ASC also tells us, quote, "We are deeply saddened whenever a resident or staff member becomes infected, and we grieve for each resident who has passed away. As residents begin to recover, we remain steadfast in protecting and continuing to serve them," end quote. The company points out that they also do point-of-care machine testing at all facilities. POC testing, as it's called, began in September, and they are averaging more than 60,000 tests per month. You can watch our entire WRTV news special Inside the COVID Crisis. It's up right now on our website at WRTV.com.
The state reports dozens of additional COVID-19 deaths and thousands of additional cases. The Indiana Department of Health confirmed 63 additional deaths in its latest report today. That means a total of 5,232 Hoosiers have died with COVID-19. Data from the Department of Health also shows 6,059 additional coronavirus cases. Since the pandemic began, 312,521 people in Indiana have been diagnosed with COVID-19.
You might be getting ready to do some holiday shopping later this week. Local business owners are hoping that you'll choose to shop small. Small Business Saturday is just days away. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum found out why some say it's so important this year and how merchants in Fountain Square are teaming up to get new customers.
Small Business Saturday has a little extra meaning this year as local business owners try to rebound from the pandemic.
It's been a year full of uncertainty for small business owners everywhere, including here in Fountain Square.
Summer was great when it was warm and people could sit outside and enjoy our window being open, but now that it's starting to get colder, we've definitely seen a noticeable decline.
Zachary Davis is a co-owner of the wine market.
Thanksgiving sales are a really crucial time for us. We've definitely seen it slow down.
He says with big gatherings on hold, people are not coming in and buying wine like they used to. He's hoping Small Business Saturday will bring new customers as people start shopping for holiday gifts.
It's always important to shop local, but this year with all the struggling businesses, just to keep it in the community, to keep that small local feel.
Christy Ryder owns City Dogs Grocery right across the street. She too is hoping the weekend kicks off a much needed boost in sales, saying the personalized service and knowledge of employees at small businesses is unmatched.
As a local business owner, you pour your heart, your soul, your own money into it, so it's even more important.
Statistics from American Express's Small Business Saturday website show 62% of small business owners need to see consumer spending back at pre-pandemic levels by the end of the year, or they won't survive. In order to promote the small businesses here in Fountain Square, the Merchants Association created these passports. You get a stamp when you visit a locally owned shop, and you can be entered in a drawing for prizes like this.
If these businesses start to close, it hurts everybody. It hurts the property values because you're going to have a lot of vacant buildings down here. It's going to hurt the home values because so much is moving out of the area, and it's not going to have that thriving cultural scene that everybody wants to live and enjoy.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
Well, Davis also said many of the small businesses are offering curbside pickup and delivery options if you don't want to visit the shops in person.
With an influx of new faces going to food banks after falling on hard times because of the pandemic, Thanksgiving feasts may not be on the radar for some, but a community food bank wanted to make it a possibility for as many Hoosiers as possible this year. Our Alyssa Donovan explains how thousands will have a full meal on the table tomorrow, thanks to the work of Pantry 279.
A food pantry is ensuring that thousands of families have a Thanksgiving meal this holiday, increasing their distribution for Thanksgiving by 50% this year.
Lines and lines of cars full of families waiting for their Thanksgiving meals to be loaded into their trunks. The distribution put on by Pantry 279, a small community food bank out of Ellettsville. Before the pandemic, they served on average around 3,000 people a month. Now that number is up to 6,500. Their Thanksgiving meal distribution doubling too, which is why they partnered with Hoosier Hills Food Bank this year to make it possible. Together, the two organizations loaded up 2,500 meals, each family receiving a turkey, potatoes, and a box of mixed dry goods. Many of the recipients turning to a food bank for the first time because of challenges brought on by the pandemic, just like Troy Stickles.
Well, right now I'm out of work, and she's on doctor's leave, so we're doing it to help out, kind of help make ends meet.
Stickles, once a volunteer at Pantry 279, now grateful to be able to turn to them in his time of need. I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
Pantry 279 serves Hoosiers across 27 counties right now, including some in Marion County. If you'd like to donate to help, you can visit our website, WRTV.com, and click on this story for details. Kevin.
And tracking a strong thunderstorm now moving into southern Rush, northern Decatur County, north of Greensburg. The warning until 6:45. May see some 60-mile-per-hour gusts. Calmer weather and cooler in my forecast.
Also ahead tonight, last season was cut short before it had a chance to finish. Tonight, college basketball's top teams are getting back on the court. We'll get a look at IU, Purdue, and Butler ahead of their opening tip-offs when WRTV News at 6 continues.
Okay, let's talk about our active weather evening here. Just before Thanksgiving, not a typical time you think about severe weather. You think of warm, humid air and the storms building. Today, quite the opposite of that. Obviously, we have some humidity in the air with all the rain around, but certainly not the warmth. The other dynamics are driving this. That would be the winds above ground level. 7 o'clock, that's our most likely time for the rain in the metro area. And you see how quickly it falls off as this continues to move north and east. We have a marginal or low risk for severe weather. We've had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. What we're talking about here would be isolated severe storms for the next hour or so. Wind, the main threat, very low chance for a tornado because of the spin that's created as this area of low pressure moves through. If you can kind of see this, there's a little swirl here. All of this is moving rapidly northeast. There's our first lightning visible. That's in northern portions of Rush County. That's also where the strongest storm is, just to the west of Rushville. Here's your warning from Rushville on down into northern portions of Decatur County, and I outlined that for you, that until 6:45. Winds of 60 miles per hour pushing out ahead of this storm that will produce torrential rainfall, at least for a brief period, as it moves to the north and east. Pretty much has moved east-northeast of Interstate 74 at this point. Peru to Muncie to Richmond, that's the line as we get to 7 o'clock, where we're seeing the stronger storms now. They'll be northeast by then. We'll have one area of rain still passing through the metro area at 7. By 9, calming things down, clearing things out by 11. And when I say clearing, I don't mean the sky will clear, but the showers and thunderstorms will push into the Buckeye State. 51 dry for your Thanksgiving. 53 the high as we get into Friday. Saturday, 47 with mostly sunny skies. Rain chances then as we go into the morning tomorrow, 20%, and that would be early tomorrow morning. And as you can see, Monday and Tuesday, the chance for rain, snow, even some snow showers. Perhaps we get a covering of snow, our first accumulating snow potential early next week. But it's all about, at least in the next hour or two, the potential for an isolated severe storm, especially east and northeast half of the state. Temperatures eventually much colder early next week.
Thanks, Kevin. Earlier this year, college basketball's March Madness was canceled amid the start of the pandemic. This week, teams are getting back in action.
Yeah, tonight marks the start of the season for Division I basketball. Butler, Purdue, and IU all playing at home. Brad Brown has a look at what's in store for all three teams.
Butler begins this season searching for a bit of an identity. Coach LaVault Jordan has several players returning to his roster, but it remains to be seen who will be Butler's go-to guy upon the graduation of Kamar Baldwin and Sean McDermott.
Guys coming in have a mindset and they're passionate, being one of our core values, but passionate about getting better and improving. So coming in with the humility that, hey, I can get better and I want to get better, and being passionate about that.
Nothing's really handed to us. Everything is going to be like, we deserve it. And we just, like I said, we be focused right now and just practicing, getting better, take a game at a time.
Purdue has a pretty good sense of what they've got. The Boilermakers are big and getting bigger. 6'10" junior Travion Williams is getting preseason mentions among the Big Ten's best. The latest addition is 7'4" Zach Edey from Ontario, Canada. So the formula for Purdue will be much the same as last year.
We've just been bringing a lot of energy in practice, and we've just been working, with the time we do have, and we've been taking advantage of it. So, we're just gonna go down here, try to be focused and try to have a positive mindset, about starting the season out.
We don't have a gauge through, exhibition game or a secret scrimmage to kind of work the kinks out, but nobody else does either. So you just have to make do and try to have some simulated, games where they're short, 2 trips, 3 trips, play to a score.
At IU, a lot of eyes will be on sophomore Trace Jackson Davis. Preseason mentions for All-American and National Player of the Year honors. He'll be the focus of a Hoosiers attack that includes a quartet of talented freshmen and enough returning minutes to perhaps make it all click early in the season.
We have 4 young guys that are true freshmen that all of them will see minutes and all of them will have roles. They can always grow their role. But as we head into the first game, the one thing we haven't been able to do is evaluate several rotations of players or how that rotation is going to work in a game, who doesn't play well together, who does.
I mean, you're so used to during high school being the best player, being able to do whatever you want, and coming into college, it's a lot different. So just being able to play through your mistakes, and I feel like the older guys, the leaders, have really helped them through.
Here's a look at how things are opening up tonight. Butler and Purdue are already on the court for their first games. IU hosts Tennessee Tech at 8. Ball State is getting started at Northern Kentucky. IUPUI and Indiana State will each begin their seasons on December 6th. And we've got a special Friday edition of college football on this Thanksgiving weekend here on WRTV, featuring the number 2 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish traveling to North Carolina. Notre Dame trying to stay unbeaten and keeping their college football playoff championship hopes alive. That game will start Friday at 3:30. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Severe thunderstorm warning again. Areas south of Rushville, north of Greensburg, along State Road 3. Some 60-mile-per-hour winds possible as that storm moves quickly to the north and east. So heads up to Connorsville. Eventually, that'll pinwheel into Wayne County as well.
Well, that does it for WRTV News at 6.
World News Tonight with David Miro is next. Then join us for the news at 7.